amazing, my beautiful people. I love you all, and I know you guys to love me too. That's amazing. It's by the love that we have for one another that will only show, that can only prove that we are the disciples of Christ Jesus. And mentioning the disciples of Christ Jesus, we are addressing issues to do with religion. We said we love talking about religion. And in this instance, there is one religion that people say, those who believe in it say it's perfectly preserved, it's complete, it has no lies, it's complete, and it's the truth. But what if I tell you, in the very religion that people say it's complete and it's true, those who follow it, there are aspects of lies in it, and lies are allowed in that religion. Okay, which religion are you talking about, Alan? I knew that's what you'd be asking next. So, we're talking about Islam religion, and specifically the holy book called the Quran that every Muslim believer, Islam believer, looks unto and reads and guides them. In the very Quran, do you know the Quran allows Muslims to cheat, to cheat or to lie for two specific instances. The first instance is when you find people together fighting and you want to separate them. The Quran allows you to come up with a lie, to create a lie, to be creative and come up with a lie to make sure that you're creating peace, or you're making peace among these two people who are fighting and try to resolve their problem. A book that allows you to lie for you to make peace. And people still believes in it? Okay, that is not funny enough, or that is not head-busting enough. That's not the main blockbuster. Listen, the main blockbuster comes here now. The second circumstance that a Muslim is allowed to lie is lying to the non-believers for the sake of the propagation of Islam. Okay, Muslims are allowed to lie to the non-believers for the sake of expanding Islam. Yes, they are lied to the non-believers for the sake of expanding Islam. And the questions comes here. Now, is the Islam itself founded on lies? If the Quran allows them and it instructs them to lie to the non-believers for the sake of expanding Islam, does it mean the Quran itself was founded on lies? I will leave that one for you to do your own research and try to get the understanding of the same. For us here today, we just want to go through some of the Quranic verses that talks about what we're just saying and we've just said now. So, open your ears, open your eyes, and listen. That is all. So, these circumstances are typically those that advance the cause of Islam, as we had said earlier. In some cases, by gaining the trust of the non-believer in order to draw out their vulnerability to defeat them. The Quran allows that. Quran, chapter 16, verse 106, establishes that there are circumstances that can compel a Muslim to tell a lie. That is from the Quran, chapter 16 of the Quran, verse 106. It says that there are circumstances that allows a Muslim to tell a lie. You still believe them? Whatever they tell you, the Quran is complete, is the truth, is the whatever they try to decorate it. Do you believe in them when the very book they believe in tells them to lie? Okay. Chapter 3 of the Quran, verse 28. This verse tells Muslims not to take those outside the faith as friends unless it is to guard themselves. So when you're outside the faith and a Muslim is trying to befriend you, most of them are not befriending you with a genuine heart or with a genuine reason. Maybe they want to use you. Be careful. The Quran allows them to do that. Chapter 9, verse 3. Allah and his messengers are free from liability to the idolaters. The dissolution of oaths with the pagans who remained at Mecca following its capture. They did nothing wrong, but they were evicted anyway. The Quran that you believe in. I know someone will talk about the context. Okay, we get it right. Chapter 2, chapter 40, verse 28 of the Quran. A man is introduced as a believer, but one who must hide his faith among those who are not believers. A man is introduced as a believer, but one who must, quote unquote, hide his faith, close the quotes, among those who are not believers. Quran chapter number 2, verse 225. Allah will not call you to account for thoughtlessness in your oaths. Consider the word thoughtlessness in your oaths, and Allah will not call you to an account. That means you will go scot-free. But for the intention in your heart, the context of this remark is marriage, which explains, the context of this one is in marriage, which explains why Sharia law allows spouses to lie to each other for the greater good. So they're allowed to lie to each other for the greater good of the religion, or the religion that they believe in. That is Islam. Quran chapter 66, verse 2. Allah has already ordained for you, O men, the dissolution of oaths. The word dissolution of oaths. Dissolution of oaths. And that's Allah, what Allah has ordained for them, those who believe in the Quran. Quran chapter 3, verse 54. And they, the disbelievers, schemed, and Allah schemed against them. So the disbelievers schemed, okay, and they, in parentheses, in brackets, the disbelievers schemed, and Allah schemed, in parentheses or in brackets, schemed against them. And Allah is the best of schemers. Allah is the best of schemers. Okay. If you do the study of language and languages and communication language, and you read the Quran, personally you'll find the Quran to be just a book that any msee, in Kenya we say, msee wa jaba, amekula jaba, anakuja akeka, all those things together. Someone who is under the influence of heart puts all those things together. Yeah, it's okay. So Allah, who is the best of all the schemers, the Arabic word used here to scheme, as scheme, ama for scheme or plot, is makara, which literally means deceit. So Allah is a liar, Allah deceives, Allah cheats, and he's the best liar. The Quranic Allah is the best liar. If Allah is deceitful towards unbelievers, then there's so little basis for denying that Muslims are allowed to do the same. Why? Muslims and brothers. And they all understand. So if we go to the hadiths, There's this one person, scholar, that all Muslims will brag of, Bukhari. And if you read from some of the things that Bukhari wrote, or the interpretations of Bukhari from what Muhammad said, because Bukhari is considered to be the guy who was next to Muhammad, a disciple of Muhammad, guy who took over Muhammad. It all depends among the Sunni and the Shia. So we'll get to that later. Bukhari 52, verse 269. The Prophet said, "War is deceit." These are the words of Bukhari. The context of this is thought to be the murder of Yasser ibn Razim and his 30 unarmed men by Muhammad's men after he guaranteed them safe passage. So Muhammad guarantees this guy safe passage, but when they start leaving, he later sends his men and he kills them. A liar. And people still believe in him? Okay. Bukhari 49:857. He who makes peace between the people by inventing good information or saying good things is not a liar. Lying is permitted when the end justifies the mean. So he who invents a given information to a given people for the sake of making peace, that person is not called a liar, according to the Quran. According to one of the scholars of Islam by the name Bukhari, that person is not called a liar because you invented information to make peace in between the people who are in trouble. And they are saying that lying is justified among the Muslims if the end justifies the means. Now, how do we believe in the Quran? How do I believe in it if the end justifies the mean and the light and everything that is in it is just lies after lies after lies because they are trying to propagate and spread Islam? Now, how do I believe it? If the authors, the writers of the Quran itself are confessing that they are allowed to lie if the end justifies the means. For the sake of peace, they are allowed to craft some stories. You know, sometimes when you're talking to your daughter or your son or your child or whatever, they ask you, "Daddy, will you buy me a plane, an aeroplane?" And you know very well you don't have the ability to buy them an aeroplane. And you know very well, even if you had the ability to buy them an aeroplane, you're not going to buy them that aeroplane immediately because they are not qualified by the law to have an aeroplane. But you still tell your daughter or your son, "Don't worry, I will do that tomorrow." The end justifies the means here because you don't want the troubles that will come from that young boy or girl. So you lie to them. You come up with a story, you lie to them for them to pass and accept and wait for tomorrow. And when tomorrow comes, if you're good enough and the son or daughter is good enough to remember whatever they talked about, you promised them the other day, you still come up with another story to cover it. And that is Islam. That is what they are allowed to do over here. If the end justifies the means, you're good to say what you ought to say. You're good to fabricate a lie and tell them. You're good to fabricate a lie and tell them. That is what Bukhari is trying to say over here. Bukhari is trying to say this. Bukhari is trying to say this. Justifying their lies. Yeah, it's normal to go to do that. Bukhari 44:84. Bukhari 84. Okay, Bukhari 84. That is 64 to 65. Speaking from a position of power at the time, Ali confirms that lying is permissible in order to deceive an enemy. Lying is permissible in order to deceive an enemy. And who's the enemy in this instance? Those who don't believe in Islam. Those are not Muslims, enemies. So if you deceive them, you lie to them to deceive them. That's allowed. That is completely allowed according to Islam. Completely allowed according to Islam. He did not hear the exemption was granted in anything. What the people speak is a lie, as a lie. But in these cases, in a battle of bringing reconciliation amongst persons, and the narration of the words of the husband to his wife, and the narrations of the word of wife to her husband, in a twisted form in order to bring reconciliation between them. So Islam is not founded on truth. Everything is a lie after a lie, lie after a lie, lie after a lie, just to make sure there is reconciliation and peace among the two parties. It's built on lies after lies. Yeah, their book allows them to lie. Their book allows them to lie. It allows them to lie. Yeah, here. We're not reading. And you all know who Buhari is. Muslims understand who Buhari is. Their books, the Buhari, the commentaries that Buhari has written, trying to expound, on what the Quran says. We'll get to that later. The Quran that has everything you need, that is complete and doesn't need any other interpretation, but they also, they also depend on their scholars to interpret some scriptures for them. And the Quran itself says there are some scriptures that cannot be interpreted unless by Allah Himself. Unless by Allah Himself. But there are guys who are trying to interpret it and make it look better. Lies after lies to make it look better, to cover up the other lie, because they have confirmed it's a lie and cannot be believed, so they have to give up another lie to cover up the other lie. It's normal. How's it got to say that? Buhari 369 recounts the murder of a poet, Kabin al-Ashraf. At Muhammad's insistence, the men who volunteered for the assassination used dishonesty to gain Kab's trust, pretending that they had turned against Muhammad. This drew the victim out of his fortress, whereupon he was brutally slaughtered despite putting up a ferocious struggle for his life. The book that you believe in, that allows you to lie, and tells you if you're lying for the purpose of making things right, you're justified. You're justified. And Allah will not condemn you to that. The book that tells you if you're lying for the sake of spreading or propagating Islam to the non-believers, you are good. You're good for that. You are good for that. And Allah will not judge you for that because you're doing the work of Allah. So you do the work of Allah by lying to the non-believers, for the non-believers to believe in the false Allah. Okay, put it at a pause. You can lie to your husband. A woman can lie, a wife can lie to the husband, and the husband can lie to the wife for the sake of making peace, and it's justifiable by the Quran. Allah will not condemn you if you lie to your husband. Allah will not condemn you if you lie to your wife for the sake of making peace. Allah will not condemn you. And people still believe in that? I don't know. Let's get more understanding on the thing. And let me hear your thoughts on the comment section. I know I receive a lot of bashing, but it's normal. It's normal. It's normal. It's normal. It's normal. But I know every Muslim understands, lying is permissible for the two causes that we've talked about. One, for the sake of making peace. For two parties that are in trouble and fighting, you can come up with a lie, fabricate stories to make sure that you bring peace. And number two, for the sake of the propagation of Islam, a Muslim is allowed to lie to an unbeliever to win them. Number three, in a family setting, a husband or a wife is allowed to lie to either party for the sake of reconciliation. That is it for you for today. You make your own decision and let us know. Coming next with some of the contradicting statements and contradicting verses in the Quran. As they say, it's a complete book. It has no contradictions. And they will point contradictions in the Bible and say their book is complete. But do you know there are contradictions in the Quran? Yes, we will come with the verses and the chapters that are contradicting to each other in the Quran. Then we also leave it unto you to play your part in the comment section and let us know what you think about it. As for now, don't leave without subscribing and hitting the notification bell and leaving a comment, and if possible, invite your friend to listen to this. And you can share too. Thank you so much for your support. We are here because you're there, listening to us and watching. Bye. Until next time.